くりレ夢ムです。ゆっくりマリサだぜ。
Hi, Raimo. Hi, Marissa. Hey guys. The curve that breaks your brain.
ゆっくりしていってね。
Section 1. Hook. Imagine I offer you a deal. I'll give you $1 million right now, in cash. Or, I'll give you a single penny today, and then double it every day for 30 days. $1 million. Or a penny that doubles. Most people take the million. They're wrong. On day 30, the doubling penny isn't worth $1 million. It's worth over $5 million. That's not a trick. That's not a loophole. That's just what happens when something doubles. 30 times. In a row. And here's the thing. 30 doublings is nothing. It's a short run. A warm-up. Now imagine that same doubling happening in nature. In a virus. In a population. In a technology. In a financial system. In a civilization. Exponential growth is the most powerful force in the known universe. It has toppled empires, ended pandemics, built the modern internet, and it may ultimately determine whether humanity survives the next 100 years. And yet, almost nobody instinctively understands it. Not really. Not in their gut. Why is the human brain so completely blind to exponential growth? And what happens when the world moves at a speed we're not wired to see? Section 2. The story begins. To understand why this matters so much, we need to go back, way back, to a story about a game. The legend comes from ancient India, sometime around the 6th century AD. A mathematician, some versions say a sage, some say a grand vizier, presented a new game to the emperor. The game had a board with 64 squares, pieces that moved, strategy, tension. It was, by all accounts, brilliant. The emperor loved it. He offered the inventor any reward he wished. The mathematician smiled and asked for something modest. He wanted 1 grain of rice on the first square of the board, 2 grains on the second, 4 on the third, 8 on the fourth, just doubling, all the way to square 64. The emperor laughed. He thought it was a joke. He told his treasurer to pay the man. The treasurer came back pale. There wasn't enough rice in the empire. There wasn't enough rice on earth. The total number of grains required? Roughly 18 quintillion. That's an 18 with 18 zeros behind it. At the time, the entire global rice harvest in a year was, and still is, nowhere near that number. The emperor, depending on which version of the story you believe, either executed the mathematician for his cleverness or begrudgingly made him his chief advisor. Either way, the lesson was clear. Doubling is not addition. Doubling is something else entirely. And for most of human history, that lesson has been learned too late, too slowly, and at enormous cost. Section 3. The evidence. Let's look at the evidence. Because the mystery here isn't just mathematical. It's psychological. It's historical. And it's happening right now, in the world around us. Exhibit 1. The pandemic nobody believed was coming. March 2020. The United States had roughly 1,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19. Health officials were on television saying the situation was under control, that this was comparable to the flu, that there was no need to panic. 1 week later, 10,000 cases. 1 week after that, 100,000. By the end of April, over 1 million. The growth was exponential. And the people in charge, some of the most educated, experienced public health officials in the world, failed to communicate the danger in time. Not because they were stupid, not because they were lying, because exponential growth looks completely harmless right up until the moment it doesn't. When you have 10 cases, doubling to 20 feels like nothing. 20 to 40 still feels manageable. It's only around the 10th or 15th doubling that the numbers become impossible to ignore. And by then, it's too late to stop easily. This is called the linear bias. Humans evolved to think in straight lines. If I run twice as fast, I get there twice as quickly. If I plant twice as many seeds, I harvest twice as much food. Our brains are finely tuned for proportional thinking. Exponential growth breaks that mental model completely. And the evidence that we keep making this mistake over and over across history is hard to ignore. Exhibit 2. The Lake and the Lily Pads. Here's a classic puzzle that makes the point more viscerally than any graph. There's a lake. A single lily pad appears on day 1. Every day, the number of lily pads doubles. On day 30, the lake is completely covered. Question: on what day is the lake half covered? Most people guess somewhere around day 15. Halfway through. The answer is day 29. One day before the lake is completely covered, it's only half covered. It looks fine. It looks manageable. And then, in a single day, it's gone. That is not intuitive. That is not what our brains expect. And that gap between what exponential growth actually does and what we expect it to do has caused some of the worst miscalculations in human history. Exhibit 3. The Grain That Broke a Kingdom. The rice on the chessboard story is a legend, but the phenomenon it describes is completely real. And it showed up in one of the strangest economic collapses of the medieval world. In 13th century Europe, the Knights Templar, a powerful religious and military order, essentially invented early banking. People could deposit money with the Templars in one city and withdraw it in another. No physical transport of gold required. It was brilliant, efficient, revolutionary, and it created compound interest. Compound interest is just exponential growth applied to money. A small percentage, added regularly, that grows on itself. For a few decades, the returns seemed magical. Small deposits became large ones. The Templars became fabulously wealthy. Kings borrowed from them. Then the math caught up. Debts compounded. Obligations grew faster than the ability to pay them. And when the King of France, deeply in debt to the Templars, realized he could never pay it back, he did what desperate rulers do. He had the Templars arrested, tortured, and burned. He seized their assets. He told the Pope they were heretics. The charges were almost certainly fabricated. The real crime? The king had borrowed money that compound interest had made impossible to repay. Exponential growth didn't care about kings or popes or armies. It just kept doubling. Exhibit 4. Technology and the curve we're living inside. In 1965, an engineer named Gordon Moore made an observation that would define the next 60 years of human history. He noticed that the number of transistors on a computer chip was doubling roughly every 2 years. Not growing steadily, doubling, exponentially. He predicted this would continue. It did. For nearly 60 years, Moore's law, as it became known, held. Computing power doubled. Doubled again. Doubled again. We may already be inside that transformation. We just can't see it clearly because we're in the early squares of the chessboard. But here's the contradiction. Exponential growth cannot go on forever in a finite world. Everything that grows exponentially eventually hits a wall, a resource limit, a physical constraint, a point where the environment can't support more growth. Bacteria in a petri dish grow exponentially until they run out of nutrients. Then they crash. Human populations grew exponentially for centuries. Then resources tightened, technology improved, and birth rates fell. The stock market can't double every year forever. Eventually, it corrects. So here's the real mystery inside the mystery. When exponential growth hits its limit, what happens? Does it level off smoothly? Does it collapse suddenly? Does it transform into something new? And the even harder question, how do you know when you're approaching the wall? Because from the inside, from the early squares on the chessboard, you can't feel it coming. Section 4. The Theories. So why are humans so consistently blind to exponential growth? Why do we keep being surprised by curves we've seen before? And what does our relationship to this kind of growth tell us about the future? Several serious frameworks try to answer these questions. Theory 1. It's pure biology. Our brains aren't built for it. The most straightforward explanation is evolutionary. For 200,000 years, humans lived in small groups. We hunted. We gathered. We navigated social dynamics within tribes of roughly 150 people. In that world, linear thinking was enough. If the deer population doubled this year, you adjusted. You didn't need to model 12 generations of exponential deer multiplication. Our intuitions were calibrated for a world that changed slowly, where most cause and effect relationships were proportional. The modern world, with its financial systems, viral outbreaks, and technological acceleration, is operating on timescales and scales our biology never anticipated. Under this theory, there's no mystery to explain. We don't naturally jump to imagining the curve bending upward and accelerating. There's experimental evidence for this. When researchers ask people to estimate how fast exponential sequences grow, subjects consistently underestimate, by enormous margins, no matter how educated they are. Under this theory, the blindness to exponential growth is a feature of human cognition itself. Specifically, of the mental shortcuts that normally serve us well but break down in exponential situations. The implication is sobering. You can't fix this problem with education alone. The bias runs deeper than knowledge. Theory 3, the hidden system effect. The third theory is more structural, and it applies specifically to why societies fail to respond to exponential threats in time. The argument goes like this. In any complex system, a government, a corporation, a healthcare system, information travels slowly. Decisions require consensus. Actions require resources. There is an inherent delay between when a problem is first visible and when the system can respond. In a linear world, that delay is manageable. If a problem grows slowly, a slow response is enough. In an exponential world, it's fatal. By the time the signal is loud enough for a slow-moving institution to hear it and act on it, the curve has already moved into its steep phase. The window to respond easily has closed. This is what happened with COVID, with the 2008 financial crisis, with climate change, with every historical epidemic that was dismissed in its early stages. The mystery isn't that individuals failed to see the curve. The mystery is that our institutions are systematically, structurally blind to the one kind of threat that most demands early action. Theory 4. Exponential growth is telling us something about the universe. This is the most philosophical theory, and the one that tends to attract mathematicians and physicists. Exponential growth isn't just a pattern in human events. It's a fundamental mathematical structure that appears throughout nature. Radioactive decay, population dynamics, the spread of information through a network, the way the universe expanded after the Big Bang. Under this theory, exponential processes aren't exceptions or anomalies. They're the default behavior of any system that is self-referential, where growth fuels more growth, where the rate of change depends on the current state. In other words, exponential dynamics may be the natural language of complex systems. And if that's true, if exponential growth is the universe's baseline mode, not a special case, then our linear intuitions aren't just a cognitive quirk. They're a fundamental mismatch between how we think and how reality actually behaves. We're not bad at math. We're navigating a universe that runs on rules our minds never evolved to natively read. Section 5. The most likely answer. Here's what I think the evidence actually shows. All four theories are partially right, and together, they tell a coherent story. Yes, our brains are wired for linear thinking. That's biology. Yes, anchoring bias makes us systematically underestimate growth curves. That's psychology. Yes, our institutions are structurally slow to respond to exponential threats. That's sociology. And yes, exponential dynamics may be the fundamental mode of complex systems in the universe. That's mathematics. But the deeper truth, the thing that ties all of this together, is that exponential growth is essentially a revelation machine. Here's what I mean. For most of its duration, exponential growth is invisible. It hides. It stays small. It looks like nothing. 10 cases, 20 cases, a penny, 2 pennies, for pennies. And then, in its final phase, in the last few doublings, it reveals everything it's been building, all at once, with no warning that our linear minds could easily read. That's the real mystery. Not that exponential growth is powerful, but that it conceals its power for so long. And then, when it reveals itself, whether as a pandemic, a technological leap, a financial crisis, or a species-level transformation, it almost always arrives faster than the world was ready for. The most likely answer to why we keep being caught off guard is this. We keep measuring the lily pads when we should be counting the days. And by the time the lake looks half full, we have exactly 1 day left. This isn't abstract. Right now, today, several exponential curves are running simultaneously in the world. Artificial intelligence capabilities, clean energy adoption, antibiotic-resistant bacteria, ocean warming, computational biology, misinformation spread through social networks. Some of those curves are going to produce wonderful things. Some may produce catastrophic ones. We don't know which is which yet, because we're still in the early squares. The question that matters isn't just what's growing. It's whether we'll recognize the curve in time to shape where it goes. Section 6. Conclusion. I want to come back to that penny. 1 cent doubled every day for 30 days. On day 1, it's a penny. On day 10, it's $5. On day 20, it's $5,000. And on day 30, 5 million. The growth on the last day alone, from day 29 to day 30, is greater than the total of every previous day combined. That's not a metaphor. That's the math. And it's the most important thing to understand about the world we're living in. We are not at day 1. We are not at day 10. We are somewhere in the middle of curves we can barely see, moving toward a final phase that will arrive faster than any point in human history has prepared us for. The strange truth of exponential growth isn't the size of the final number. It's that the final number was always inevitable from the first doubling. The chessboard didn't change. The emperor was always going to run out of rice. There's a mathematician named Albert Bartlett who spent 40 years giving a single lecture on exponential growth. He gave it over 1,700 times to students, scientists, and politicians. And he always opened with the same sentence. He said, "The greatest shortcoming of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function." He gave that lecture for the last time in 2013, the year he died. The world, as far as I can tell, still hasn't fully listened. So here's the question I'll leave you with. We now know what exponential growth does. We have the math. We have the history. We have case after case, century after century, of the same pattern playing out in the same way. Why do we keep being surprised? And more urgently, what is doubling right now in the world around you that you're not taking seriously because the numbers still look small? Because somewhere, on some chessboard you haven't thought about yet, square 64 is coming, and it is always closer than it looks. What do you think is the most dangerous exponential curve running in the world right now? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe for more investigations into the hidden forces shaping our world.